it depends on how Joey Diaz I get.
Well, we'll
half
just
a
say you're in California.
half a Momo. No,
Yeah.
that's right. No, YouTube actually won't allow that shit, so I won't. I'm not gonna do that.
Oh,
Wait,
okay.
but Joe does it.
But he's on exclusive. Well, he's got an
He is on
exclusive
that deal.
contract.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
His shit
But
that's different shit than everybody else on YouTube.
yeah. I mean, I know that him and on the recent one with Cat Williams, I know they were doing it, but I never saw them do it on screen.
Never, yeah, never. So
So
maybe
that's
that's something new that they're doing.
yeah. Well, I know even when he was in California and it was legal, it was kind of sketch too, and they would kind of cut away from people.
Yeah,
So
I'm with that.
yeah. But welcome back, everyone, to Preposterous. It's been a good long while, but we're back at it on episode 5. And I kind of wanted to first make an announcement that so today is March 3rd, and tomorrow, March 4th, the first 4 episodes are going to be deleted and they will go live on Patreon exclusively tomorrow at 6 a.m. And today we have about 4 topics we want to cover. And the first one, I kind of wanted to start off with a blank slate on both of us and the way we think and the way we process everything these days. Because this podcast is just like a whatever we want kind of thing, but obviously we're going to come across more heady, difficult topics. And I wanted to shoot it over to you first of like, why do you think the way you do? And if you have trouble kind of answering that, I guess I can help you steer it, but you can go ahead and answer blankly if you want.
Nah, man, I already know. That's like as soon as I seen that, as soon as you said that, I already know. Like, I guess I guess everyone sort of had their awakening at some point in time. Everyone thinks like we do, or looks at shit like we do. So I would say, truthfully, it was when I was in high school. I want to say junior year. Junior year, I
Okay.
was on YouTube, and YouTube had like hella Illuminati videos, and I sat and watched this whole like there was like this 10-part like documentary or whatever, and like all the videos were decent length. Bro, I remember just being in art class, headphones in, listening to that shit, watching everything, and this dude is like exposing 9/11, breaking it all down on how like the shit's just sketch. And I just know that was the start of, me sort of rewiring the way I think and see certain
Hmm.
things, especially stuff that's presented by the media. So I could say I'm, nowhere near as cautious as I am of the media now, but back then I was definitely like, you can't really trust that shit. So I
Yeah.
say, that was the origin, and slowly I started doing more research, looking into stuff more, and that it turned into what I am today. I feel like I sort of had a second like awakening, if that's what you want to call it, uh,
Yeah.
2020 when the George Floyd shit went down. When the George Floyd shit went down, that's when I could just really, I fully accepted that like the media is controlled. Most of the mainstream narratives are controlled by either some person in the government or some company that has too much power, you know, and owns everything, and some George Soros shit.
The boogeyman.
Yeah, but like, yeah, that's why I think the way I think. I know I'm an overthinker too. So when I notice something, like I'll like work it out in my brain until it makes sense for me. Um, and just a lot of the shit I see on the news, it just doesn't make sense. And we're not even
Yeah.
talking politics. Like even the whole UFO thing that they've been trying to do recently, it's just like, there's an
And,
ulterior motive.
and you would think that guys like you and me would be so far into that,
Yeah,
but it doesn't come up on my radar at all because of who's telling us about
yeah,
it.
and it feels like they expected that to happen. Like they expected all the conspiracy theorists to be like, "Oh, they're finally admitting aliens and UFOs are real," and we're just like, "Nah."
And slowly, aliens and UFOs has become like less cool because of that. Like
Yeah,
it's been like the last 5 years kind of thing where I'm just like not interested at all because it's been like the New York Times is reporting on it. Like, okay, sure.
yeah.
Um, and how would you describe yourself politically?
Um, honestly, I mean, I consider myself a liberal, a libertarian. Like I consider myself somebody to be a little more towards the left, but center. But it feels like, obviously the left has continued to go even further left. So it's like
Yeah,
staying here, still on my same ideals and beliefs, but like all the liberals shifted over there to the extreme left. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, that's how I would really define myself. I wouldn't really say like I'm a Democrat or a Republican because like I'm always going to vote for the best guy, you know, if I do vote. But
right.
yeah, nah, that's what I would consider myself. And I know you're the same.
Yeah, I would say in the past couple of years, my understanding of a lot of things political has broadened, where I understand a lot of the conservative arguments a lot better, but I'm still in my position.
Yeah,
And yeah, I would consider myself left wing or a liberal type person because just how I grew up. And I was always like, I remember in the early days of YouTube when I was like a little kid, like I'm watching like the videos about like the devil in the smoke in the fucking the twin towers on 9/11
yeah,
and stuff like that.
yep,
And I remember I used to watch documentaries on YouTube, stuff now that would get like either shadow banned or stricken down or
yeah,
all that kind of stuff. And because you ever notice when you look up something on YouTube today, it's like ABC News, like NBC News, and
yeah,
it's like all these corporate YouTube channels. Whereas back in the day, if you look something up, it was like um, probably like a low budget documentary or some guy in his bedroom talking about
yeah.
like a complex issue or topic or whatever.
They kick you whatever had the most views, truthfully, like on what you were looking up.
Yeah.
Now it's like, nah, you want the CNN video about it. It's like, no, bro, I want the dude that was in his mom's basement talking about it.
And back in the day, you knew that a lot of views was word of mouth. It was a genuine spread of word. Rather, today it's all algorithms. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, people reached this video because of the other videos they've been watching and searching for.
right.
So it's a weird thing. But yeah, I would like even before like 2020 because I do have the same kind of roadmap as you. Even before 20, like in 2016, when people would say Donald Trump is Hitler, I'd be like, what do you like literally or because like growing up like I always heard like they called George W. Bush Hitler, they called John McCain Hitler, they called the most like milk toast white man ever Mitt Romney Hitler.
Yeah,
Like Joe Biden once said that Mitt Romney would put black people back in chains.
yeah, he did. But Mitt Romney,
It,
Hitler.
but yeah, it was like Mitt Romney.
Trump
Like,
is
have you
Hitler.
ever seen him in that video where he's Ted Lasso for Halloween?
No,
He was Ted Lasso. He did a whole video and posted it online where he's Ted Lasso for Halloween.
that's
This
hilarious.
they, and they wanted to say that guy was Hitler.
Yeah, nah,
When in actuality he's just like a middle. I mean, of course he's a conservative
yeah.
but
But that
he's like a such a
every
regular.
that's what they do. Every conservative has to be a Nazi nowadays. It's
Yeah.
we're all in extremes.
But yeah, when people in it first like when Donald I could tell it was different with Donald Trump with the intensity of people, the way they would talk about it and talk about him being Hitler and they're going to put us in camps for simply being non-white and blah blah blah. And I was like, and they would say that he's going to be a dictator that's going to seize all power for himself. And I'm like, so none of the checks and balances that are set up in the country just exist.
Yeah.
But these are all people that believe that the system is against them because they're non-whites,
Right.
or they're a guilty white person.
Right. Right.
And it's this weird thing where everybody's reduced either themselves or everyone else down to their skin color. And I think that's one of the things where that you and me have noticed that people have gone like 30, 40 years backwards.
Yeah. There's an obsession, an extreme obsession with identity nowadays. And it feels like not even just with identity politics, but all around, like even in entertainment, everything is very surface level with people.
And the identity of their immutable characteristics.
Yeah.
So not their identity of like, oh, I love football or I love basketball, I love playing video games. It's their identity of my skin color, my well, you could choose your religion. My skin color or sexual orientation is like the typical, the ones you can't choose.
Yeah.
So I would say like nowadays, whenever something comes out um, in the media and like certain outlets, I'm always like, that's bullshit. That's a lie.
Yeah.
And I think it's part of it is they've pushed us in this direction.
Yeah.
I think
I
part of it is true, and certainly, it's entirely possible that something can come out on ABC, New York Times, NBC, and it could be a completely true thing, but they could spin it for their own gain.
right.
But because they've lied so much, they've pushed a lot of people in the direction where I'm just going to outright not believe you at all.
Yeah. And that's where I am, honestly. And it was the Trump stuff that made me that way. Like I was already skeptical of the media before, but like I remember being a part of the people in 2016 all the way till like I'd say 2019, 2020 that just hated Trump and couldn't really give you a true reason why. It was just based off what the media was saying, what some person I trusted said, what some celebrity or influencer said that, it made sense. But
Yeah.
there got to a point to where I noticed the shit that they were complaining about Trump doing. The presidents prior to him were doing that shit also and didn't receive the same criticism. Like the treatment of people at the border. Oh, they got kids in camps here. They got kids in cages. They did all that stuff, hyped it up, had
Who
what
built the cages?
AOC go down there and do her little fake cry, take pictures, PR stunt, and it's like that shit was going on when Obama was in office. That shit
That's
was
my
before Obama was in office.
that's
Like
my whole thing. Who built the cages?
yeah, yeah,
That's like, okay, so let's say 2017 Trump has people in cages. Well, they're not going to build cages overnight his first day in office. That's impossible with the amount of cages we're talking about.
yeah,
So who built the cages?
yeah.
And
That's
that's another thing where it's like
asking.
um specifically Obama, people like refuse to have any criticism as a president. And it's this weird thing where, especially like I think worldwide, I think a lot of like there was a speech from Gaddafi, who's he's his own character, and obviously we don't co-sign everything about him, but even he expressed in a speech at one point to the UN, I believe, about he thought that things were going to change from America because simply there was going to be a black president.
Yeah,
So there was this thing worldwide where
we're boys.
everybody,
Barack and Gaddafi were boys, weren't they cool?
certainly not in the end, but I have no idea. Uh, but I don't know about. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I don't know about that. But I know that that country is basically doesn't exist anymore. I
Right.
mean, I know there's a head of state and it's still part of the UN.
Yeah.
But when we were in high school, you could watch slave auctions on YouTube. Um, and it's all because they took him out. And I it's one of those things where that was during the Obama presidency, and now we have this country where you could buy a black child for like $200.
That's insane,
I
man.
mean, yeah,
You
and
think about the world is and how scary that is for that kid, like that's just insane.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where in this country, we live in the States. So in this country, you hear all the time about the ills of the past and slavery. Um, but how much do I mean the clothes we wear, the devices we use to put out this content is all produced from slavery,
Yeah,
and it's a fucked up thing where it's like I don't know how we can get around it. Um, Throughout history, there's always been a slave class to uphold the higher society, but the thing is like higher society doesn't exist as it always did. You know, there used to be the kings and the queens and the peasants and there was a big disparity. But now we live like you, me, and the sort of middle class. We live like how the kings and queens lived like hundreds of years ago.
yeah,
And now there's this, especially in the Eastern world where we get all of our stuff from. There's this slave class that is literally has the whole world is on top of them.
yeah.
Um,
And like I mean, like there's like if you like think about the East, bro. There, I feel like there's not very many. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot we could name, but there's not very many places in the East where there aren't slaves. Like,
oh yeah,
I mean,
I mean the last. I mean it's all illegal. Like the last place that legal made slavery illegal was a country in Africa in 1981. So this is all worldwide illegal, but it's done under the table, obviously, to for capitalism.
yeah,
And capitalism is like this thing that has gone out of hand.
yeah,
Uh, I think that it's something that's been co-opted and taken over by the corporations where capitalism ideally is this thing where the free market and the regular person like you and me and the corporations can thrive together, but the corporations have completely taken over the whole thing.
yeah.
um,
No, I saw something earlier today on capitalism. I wanted to get your opinion on this, and I don't want to. I don't want to obviously make make this like a gender war thing or anything like that. But I saw a guy say he was like reacting to this woman's post on TikTok about she was claiming capitalism was hurting men more than it's hurting women and this and that, and like he broke it down how basically like no, it's actually the opposite. Like there are more women in debt today than ever before. Like I think women, I mean, as far I don't know what the exact number is, but I'm pretty sure women are a majority of the people in debt in the states, at least.
well, that's not surprising because the only thing I would dispute is that there's more women in debt now than ever. Women haven't there's the history of women having accruing their own debt is very short.
Yeah,
So I'll dispute that, but
but we all know it's mostly because they go to
they drive the market.
exactly, and they drive the fucking market. They're all in debt because they all went to indoctrination camps called college, and you know,
Yeah,
it's just how it is.
yeah. Um, I mean, yeah, that's not surprising. Just because they drive the market. I think guys, we have our things, but most of the things we buy are like one-time purchases, like food or I mean, I like video games. I like buying books. But that's like the furthest extent of me buying something consistently. And
Yeah,
even then, like I'm always like, how can I get a used book? Or I don't buy a video game every month. I buy probably like at least four a year now because they're so expensive.
two games that came out like the end of last year that I haven't gotten yet. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Every guy I know is like, they always say like, I'm going to wait until it's like $20.
yeah. And when
Um,
fuck that, I want it now.
yeah.
Let's go out. Let's spend some money. Let's
Yeah.
go on this expensive ass vacation. Let's go to
Yeah.
Barcelona, me and you,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a that's a thing I definitely see a lot where I'm just like, damn, like how can you do that consistently?
bro. It's scary. It's
Um,
honestly, I'm
And
gonna
this
start looking into female financial advisors. I need to know what they're doing, bro.
and this is one of those things where they're like, "Oh, you're an insecure guy."
It's like, no, I just want to know where you get that money, where you make your money from, to where you can just spend it like that, and
Yeah,
it's not a problem for you,
because I would love to travel, and I look into trips and the flight, the hotel, the possibility of renting a car
bro.
and going out to eat,
Yeah,
drinking if you want to.
yeah,
It's fucking you. I mean, some trips to like an ideal place, you're looking at like three stacks.
yeah. And they just seem to have that shit like on command, bro. It's crazy. Like I've been
And
wanted to go to Japan for like 4 or 5 years now, and every time I think about it and I look through shit, I'm like, not the right time for it. No, no.
you're like, yeah, this is at least 7 stacks.
Yeah, that's bro. I,
Yeah,
where are they getting that money from? I gotta hit
yeah,
a few crazy parlays to get that shit.
yeah. And yeah, I just that's one of those things where if you bring it up, they're like, "Oh, you sound so insecure."
Nah, that ain't insecure, sweetheart.
Um,
It's genuine curiosity.
yeah, but I think that's one of those things where around our age we're uneducated as men. More, it's going to be more often than not. Because I think the ratio now is 2 to 1 at colleges. There's for every guy, there's 2 women at universities.
Yeah. Oh, they're definitely way more educated than us by far.
And I just mean like on paper educated. Somebody can go to 4 years of university and come out. I mean, I graduated with people at high school that like I know there's no way you passed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I talked about that earlier with one of my boys. How like even from high school, like the whole GPA thing really only determines your work ethic. Truthfully, like you
I
could be
mean that's yeah
smart and not do any work, and the dude that does all his work gets more. He has better grades than you. His GPA is higher, whatever. You could be
yeah
smart. It doesn't really matter. Not to knock anybody that is college educated, because there are certain fields that I would 100% agree you need to go to school for or get further education, like all the doctors and stuff like that. I would never knock any of those people, all the people in med school, but
yeah.
there's just other shit that just I,
Especially with like the how free and open information is nowadays.
right,
And the ironic thing is, you come across so many people that are dumb and uneducated about certain subjects they want to speak so loudly on. But you're like, how do you not know XYZ if it's plainly out there?
right.
Um, and I think we've seen that a lot with the prevailing narratives about a lot of political and quote unquote scientific stuff in the past 4 years.
Science, yeah. Every
Yeah,
Jesse Pinkman during COVID.
and and that's one of the. I mean, it kind of beating up on a dead horse, but I like how science became this like sort of still like pillar that never moves, never changes, and is always the same. Whereas that's not it at all.
Literally the opposite of the foundation of science. That's what's so crazy to me. Like, no,
Yeah,
it's solidified. It's never to be questioned, bro. Literally, science is like we've only had scientific advancements because people question shit. So, like,
yeah.
what are we talking about here?
And I think everybody knows what we're hinting at, but like to go to another subject that's just as controversial, but not as not quite the same as like the climate stuff.
Yeah,
People swear up and down that the climate stuff is completely settled science. But how do you know that? Like, have you ever read a weather model? Have you ever read a paper?
yeah.
Have you did you only watch the Al Gore documentary from like 20 years ago? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
I don't even remember what that was called, too.
the inconvenient truth.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that shit was in theaters. That shit was everywhere.
Yeah. Because it's this popular narrative that the world is going to end, and it's so dramatic and it's so enticing.
Yeah.
And it drives a lot of what people decide for their, like, people had like decide to not have children because they think the world is going to end from climate change. And
I mean, I can understand not wanting to have kids, but for that reason, like a
yeah,
lot of other reasons,
um,
I think.
I I always err on the side of like do whatever you want, but don't let don't let a corporation or the science sway you in how you live your life.
Right.
Don't let a bunch of businessmen in suits and the calculations of how they want to steer the population sway how you live your life as an individual.
Especially when we live where we live here, where we've got more freedom than fucking almost anybody, pretty much. So,
Yeah,
we've got the freedom of choice to make our own decisions, do what we want to do. But what they do is they try to get the masses because they know people have that FOMO, that fear of missing out. They know people want to be a part of the herd instead of being looked at as an individual or a free thinker that makes their own decisions. Like that's something that really came clear to me during 2020. The tribalism in us, in our people, really,
yeah,
really just boomed, bro. It was bad, and we still see. I feel like things have definitely calmed down a bit since then. Like 2020, 2021, I feel like shit was pretty intense. It's definitely dialed down, but you still see it in certain spaces where, like,
yeah.
you're a certain kind of person, like the Civil War trailer where he's like, "Don't shoot, we're an American." Or we're Americans, and he's like, "What kind of American are you?" Like, you get that sense with certain people, like, if you have on a specific topic, they're gonna treat you a certain kind of way.
Yeah, and it's this weird thing where, and I think now we're gearing up, obviously because it's an election year, and it's getting pretty wild.
It's gonna get even wilder the closer
Um,
to it.
I think so far, there hasn't been a major world event like COVID or George Floyd, or those were the two big things, and then the riots, and the riots from both sides, because obviously the Black Lives Matter had their whole thing in the summer, and then later on in the winter there was the January 6th. And I think both of those things are very nuanced, and we could probably cover those if they come up later on. But that tells you how hot things were for about a year and a half.
Yeah,
And I think right now things are. I mean, the temperature's been high for like 8 years. Um, but the whole thing where like the whole political class is like persecuting one guy.
yeah,
Like just he has 91 indictments.
as if he's this criminal mastermind. When we know there's some big wig exec or some CEO, that has way too much control that we need to be going after.
And to you, what does 91 indictments sound like?
I don't know. It sounds like them trying to prove a point or something. It just doesn't feel genuine. Like 90.
Yeah, it's like Jeffrey Epstein. He's been dead for like almost 5 years now, and I mean the whole court case with Ghislaine Maxwell is done, and she got convicted of human trafficking to nobody.
To nobody. Yeah, yeah. My boy talked about that. 8 Ball Rogers. He talked about that on JRE. How none of the clients were arrested. You know,
Yeah,
clients were brought forward. There was no one was brought to justice. It was all about bringing her down, knowing that she was probably truly just a small piece of. I mean, even Epstein, we don't even know, he could have just been a small piece of the whole thing. Truthfully, you
well,
know.
yeah, it's like, do you think there was only one island?
Yeah, I mean, you think there's only one guy doing that in the world, as big as
Yeah.
he's the only one in charge of shit like that?
Also, do you think that that's the only time in human history that that's ever been done?
Right. I mean, we're talking about, it's no different than people talk about prostitution is like the oldest, profession around. They've been doing this, for centuries. I mean, I'm pretty sure people have been sex trafficking for centuries. So
Well, it's like how the kings of like the medieval age are always portrayed as like these, you know, sexual deviants, but they're never portrayed as a certain type of sexual deviant. It starts with a P. Like I won't say it.
true.
So I feel like that's part of a history that's been wiped clean, so that yeah, I'll let people talk about me as a sexual deviant in a certain way, but not in that way.
Yeah. Like, oh, he might have been homosexual, but we're not gonna bring up the kids. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I know there's a new movie out now about and I I don't feel bad for not knowing his name, even though I'm black. He's supposed to be an important figure in Black history. Apparently, fired Martin Luther King to do the "I Have a Dream" speech. But they claim, and he was a gay black dude, and it's just like they're okay being like, yeah, this person was gay, this person was gay. Like Alexander the Great being gay is like a popular topic among historians. People talk about that. I mean, I don't know about among historians, but historically, people say that it's that he
It
might
comes up. Yeah.
you know we can talk about that, but we never hear about I don't know, one of Hitler's generals or some shit like that being a pedophile or something. Like, there's just no, and we know that shit's been around for centuries. We never
Yeah.
any of that.
Yeah, because it's definitely a thing, but it would be weird if you expected me to believe it's only 60 years old.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um, and I guess I guess we covered like how we feel about politics. I don't like calling it that or admitting that that's what we're engaging in, but I feel like it's been forced upon us.
yeah,
I feel like if the culture had gone in a different way, we wouldn't be talking about such things.
yeah,
Because I in this country especially, like I feel like we can, especially with like local politics, I feel like we can dictate how we want to live our lives and stuff like that. But it definitely has been ever since Big Donnie appeared on the scene. Things really changed,
yeah,
and I'm not saying it's because of him; it's because of the reaction to him.
yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. And I tell people that I know that have Trump derangement syndrome. That is because he was anti-establishment, and they don't even understand that.
Um,
What does that mean? What do you mean by that?
and I wouldn't say we're supporters of him because obviously there was 4 years where he was the president and there was things that didn't get done.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean our border control is still pretty shitty. It's actually very shitty, and he didn't really do much to improve it. So
and we still he was. It's worth to say he was the first, I believe, post World War II president that didn't start a new war. So
yeah,
that's I think that's significant, but he also didn't stop any.
yeah.
Um,
I do feel like there was a lot of tension between us and North Korea, and he sort of
oh
moved that
yeah,
up with Russia. I mean, if we would have. I don't think we had any beef with Russia when Trump was in office, and now Trump's in office, and obviously the Ukraine shit's going on, and we know how much we're involved in that.
yeah. Well, Trump was the first president to send aid to Ukraine, but
Really.
I think he did that. Yeah, he sent them weapons, but I think he did that so that they would stop talking shit about him being a Russian agent.
Yeah,
I think and I think some of the stuff. I think there were some decisions he made because he wanted things to cool down.
yeah.
Um,
No different than because I still don't genuinely, and he'll probably stand by it through and through, but I don't think he genuinely endorses the vaccine. I really don't.
yeah, it's a weird. I think he loves credit, obviously,
He definitely loved taking credit for being the
because
when it
yeah,
was
yeah, because it's his thing.
vaccine. We worked very hard.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of shots, a lot of jabs.
You got a dog wife, Ted.
But how do you like? So obviously he could have lost the 2020 election, and he could have just been like, "All right, peace. I'm going to Scotland. I'm going to wherever, and I'm going to tee off and play golf in like the most luxurious places all around the world." But he announced that he's going to run for re-election. He's easily the most popular politician in the country, and he's taking on a sort of storm of accusations and prosecutions and court cases. How does that change your view of him that he could have just left, but he decided to stay and take on the action?
Um, I'm
It's
not.
weird. It's weird thing where I'm like, wait, you decided to do this?
Yeah, yeah, I know. I do sometimes question his motivation. Like why does he want to do the things he wants to do? Because I don't 100% believe it's all for the American people. I don't believe.
No, I think he's certainly the most cynical politician.
Yeah, I just don't think any politician is like that. But I mean, honestly, bro, I gotta respect it. Like you're dealing with court shit. They tried to lock you up. They're trying to put you behind bars, for a long period of time, bro. And you're still trying to go out there and become president of the country. Like, I mean, I commend it, bro, for real. But like, I just feel like I question how far the other side is willing to go to stop him because I don't feel like there's any way they can stop him through indictments. You know what I'm saying? Through like you've even seen like the Republicans try to push other candidates out there. Like, no, we want you to vote for this person. We want you to vote for this person. And
Yeah.
the conservatives are like, nah, we want Trump. Like that's just how it is.
Yeah, he's the leading conservative voice in the country.
Like no one wants Nikki Haley. Nobody wants her. Nobody wants fucking DeSantis. And it seemed like for a while, like they were trying to continuously push someone out there to be in front of Trump, and it's just not going to happen. So that tells me that he can't even be controlled by them. So that's another reason why, like, I'm for him. He can't be controlled by them. He can't be controlled by the left. I mean, why not? Because anybody else we get, they're going to be controlled. They're going to be a puppet to someone else. And he's the one person that I feel like wouldn't be a puppet, you know?
Yeah. And I think he's kind of like slightly changed his tune on Ukraine, and obviously all he's like he would support Israel, um, and that's like another thing is like we thought that Bobby Kennedy was going to be this guy that wasn't going to be controlled, but obviously there's some aspect of him that is with his support of Israel.
Bro, how much are we helping Israel?
I mean, I'm sure it's upward in the tens of billions of dollars.
Not just financially, not just like
I mean, we uphold them.
pins and shit like that. Are we actively do we have troops out there like fighting for them, bro?
I wouldn't say no. I don't think
Or not?
like it hasn't been publicized. Like Ukraine, there's definitely American boots on the ground, but it hasn't been publicized.
Yeah, yeah. There was I don't know where he like what branch of the military he was in, but there's a video that like literally just this week that through Twitter I found where this American soldier made like this 3 minute video. Um,
Are you talking about the guy that lit himself on fire?
yeah, bro,
Oh yeah, yeah. He
and
said,
he getting ready to participate in extreme active protests. And the moment he said that, I saw the cut. Like I've seen the video, bro. It's one of the scariest things I've ever seen.
"I've watched it till he does it. I can't see
I was
someone do
like,
that."
bro, is he gonna set himself on fire? And he did, and he like I'm like no bullshit, bro. He took that shit like a man, bro. It was like I like I was
Yeah,
it was crazy. Like he was standing there like the Human fucking Torch, and he wasn't screaming like for a
The,
couple seconds there. It was really
does
weird.
he really say free Palestine?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
Like he
wow, okay.
literally the moment because he's pouring the shit on himself, and then he goes to light the fire, and you can hear the guy like there are two dudes trying to talk him down. Like, what are you doing? No, stop, stop, get on the ground. And he's like, free Palestine, free Palestine, and he's like on fire, yelling that shit, free Palestine. And then like when he can't yell it anymore, he just stands there, bro, like and just like stomps around, and like you can see like his clothes burning off of him and everything. It's one of the most graphic things in a while, man. But it just like seeing that made me think like, what are we doing down? What are we doing, out there to help them? That would make our people feel guilty like that, like you know, because I
Yeah, well, I mean, just on face value.
we just support them like publicly, like we're like, yeah, that's our friend, we stand by them. But that shit made me really think like we're doing more.
Well, I wouldn't doubt that there's American troops on the ground there, because it's an ally state and it's the Middle East, and we there's American hostages, and there's also, um, I think the Houthis in Yemen, they've killed American troops. So I think just in general, the area is hot right now, hotter than it was a couple years ago after we left Afghanistan.
Fucking World War III, man.
Um, but I've seen a lot of people use that guy's statement and protest as like a statement on their own political movements, and whereas like I just see it as like this very it's sad.
It is. It's
um I don't care what side.
I'm immediately wondering, why did this guy join the military? Does he have a family? Like what did he see that made him feel like he needed to do that? You know?
Also, like the mental health of our veterans and our troops, I think a few years ago, like the average was 22 veterans kill themselves in the states every day.
Yep.
um and I don't I mean, it's been like 80 years since we fought a war that's actually worth fighting.
We don't take care of those people at all, man. And it's a part of the reason why when that Kaepernick kneeling during the national anthem shit was going on, that I felt like the criticism towards him was hypocritical because we don't. I mean, we care about our
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Respect. Yeah, yeah.
anthem is going on, but after that they can be homeless and not we cannot give a fuck about them. Um,
Yeah.
it's just very hypocritical. And like I know Stephen A. went on that rant about what we're doing with the money and how we're giving those to the money to illegal immigrants. I think it was like 10,000 or something like that to illegal
Yeah.
immigrants. And he's like, we've got homeless everywhere, and I think about that shit often, bro. A lot of the homeless, I mean, that those are veterans,
Well, it's like when people say tax the rich, and I'm like, well, so you're going to tax the rich and put it towards bombs that kill brown people overseas?
pretty much.
It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. Defund.
Uh,
So what? That money can go towards the military, and they can make more money. What are we talking about? What are we doing?
yeah, so they can give the money to weapons contractors,
Yeah,
slap an American flag on a bomb.
people will chant and say shit that they feel like is extremely noble, um, but logically it doesn't.
Yeah, they don't think about the next three steps of
Defund
that
the
issue.
police, yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
you want less skilled cops. You want them to be even worse in escalated situations, which is the problem to begin with.
Yeah, you want the police to be scared of acorns.
Yeah, there's a yeah. You see, have you seen that video? Oh, I
Yeah,
sent.
I've seen.
That's right. That the
Yeah, yeah.
dropped on, bro. That dude had no business being a cop, bro. No business being a cop. It dropped on the roof, and he thought it was a gunshot. And then there was one I watched yesterday. This woman was being charged. She was being rushed by this dude with a hammer, and she doesn't sound in control. She doesn't sound like composed. She sounded like a little girl who was running away from bees or something, bro. It was she's like, please stop, no. And I'm just like, man, people want to defund the police. Like I feel like someone's charging you with a hammer and you're a cop, you should be able to know how to handle that. It's a hammer. I mean, I understand she was a woman and that was a grown man, and there's a discussion to be had there also, but I'm not gonna Andrew Tate it.
Look,
But I just don't understand like how anybody can believe defunding the police is anything we need to do. A lot of the shit that we chant and we're for, that the masses are for, is just not.
yeah, I mean, it's like the Derek Chauvin thing. It's like I don't know how you could watch the video of what he did to George Floyd and want to take money away
Yeah,
from. I mean, if you take money away from that, then you're just going to keep having that.
yeah.
Um,
They're going to continue to hire people that aren't really qualified to do the job. Um,
yeah, they'll hire anybody because they don't have the resources to hire the best people and to train the best people.
we should be wanting to dump more money into that. Truthfully, it should be the opposite. We should be
Yeah,
fun. We
and,
should be funding them, giving them more attention, focusing on a restructure of how these people are getting trained. You know, I
well, how
mean,
do you feel about anarchy? Because you know, there's anarchists that are like there should be no police.
I don't feel I know. You mean you want to live like Red Dead? That's basically what shit is to me. Like if there's no police and everybody's walking around strapped, or
That and rich people are going to hire mercenaries,
yeah,
and
I
you're gonna
I could see shit turning into Mexico. Like
you'll have cowboys out here for real.
yeah, like shit will look like Sicario out here if we do that, bro. We don't we
Yeah,
don't
that's
we don't want that. Truthfully, I mean, look at how. I don't know. I don't know. I guess this isn't a great example, but like look in the liberal states that have weaker crime laws. Like that's how I look at it.
yeah.
How shitty California is. Look at how shitty New York is. Sorry to Californians and New Yorkers, but your states suck. Um,
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody knows about the mass exodus of California, just people leaving there.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah.
Um,
Can't not know because every celebrity is leaving California.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
there's a shit ton of them. There was more than I thought. I thought like Rogan was the only one, but it was like after Rogan, I started seeing more and more, hearing more celebrities talk about how they didn't like California, and they're out of there. I never saw the appeal of California just because it's expensive as fuck, and
Well, you ever seen like when the athletes when they post about how their contracts are like all the taxes that are taken out, like that? How do you say that guy's name that plays the Japanese guy?
Otani, Shohei
Yeah,
Otani.
yeah. What was his contract total?
I don't know. It was huge though. I mean, like highest paid.
I saw like 30% of it's been cut out from taxes.
Jeez, just to go play for the fucking Dodgers. No way. No way, man.
Nah, I'd rather play for a bad team in a
Yeah,
in a better taxes kind of
and
state.
send me to Colorado's. Let me go play for the Colorado Rockies. Let me go play for the Texas Rangers or something. Like I don't.
Are
Yeah,
those teams good or?
they're not that good. They're not,
But yeah.
but
Have you?
but he's not gonna have his pockets destroyed.
Can you imagine like a? I mean, for baseball, I guess like a 10 year. What's the highest ever?
I don't know, man. I truly don't know. Baseball players
Oh,
made a lot of fucking money though.
let's say 5 years, $100 million. That's a
Shit.
lot.
Honestly, more than that, I've seen. I want to say like 260 would be like,
Okay, let's say someone plays for 7 years, $260 million. In Texas, you would get all that money.
yeah. In,
That's
Cal-
insane.
in California, they're running your shit, and you're not allowed to have a gun. You're not allowed to.
Fuck that.
You're not allowed
No
to.
wonder every rapper gets busted for a fucking gun in the car fucking type thing.
Yeah. No, you have, bro. You have to. That's where. I mean, the most recent rapper that I can think about, that everyone will know of that was killed out there was Nipsey Hussle. You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
you gotta protect yourself out there. I want to say that one XXX Tentacion, he was in Florida. I want to say he was in Florida when it happened, but yes, I mean, when people know you got money, when people know who you are
yeah.
out in states like that, I wouldn't be surprised if you know every dude with money was carrying something. I mean, I don't have. And I feel like I should carry here, and I'm in fucking Ohio, so
Well, you know about that attachment for the Glocks that make them automatic?
the switch.
Yeah,
switches.
yeah. So that's
Clearing in Chicago in it and Gotham City. Eh,
boy. So those are illegal, but everybody on the street has one.
yeah,
So so when people like so when some unfortunate soul fucking shoots up a school and everybody obviously it's a tragedy, but when everyone starts talking about stricter gun laws, and like we have like 6,000 fucking gun laws in general, so I don't know what people want. Um, but when people want to quote unquote, I guess, take away the guns, it's like, so you want to have every guy on the street with an illegal Glock and an illegal switch that can shoot fucking 10 rounds at you in a second,
yeah.
and you can't shoot back?
It makes no sense to me. Because when you make owning a gun illegal, only the criminals are going to have it. That's what doesn't make sense to me. You're literally
Oh,
taking away your means to protect yourself.
and to everyone that thinks that the police are a covert KKK operation, you don't want to have guns, but you want the police to have guns?
Exactly. Nothing ever, nothing ever adds up, bro.
I'm like, dude, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
Oh,
indict Donald Trump. Yeah, 91 indictments. Oh, the government's racist. They hate black people. No, they're oppressing us systemically. Like, bro, it makes no sense.
oh yeah, they cheer on the system in one sense, but not the other.
Yeah, that's what it is. People are hypocrites.
Yeah, and it's funny when me and you get accused of being right wing, but at least I know. I think you share this sentiment. My whole political stance is the corporations and the media are like the enemy of the people,
Yeah.
basically, and they use their power and influence to get the people to hate each other.
Yep.
That's what a right winger I am.
Yeah.
You know, like that's like such left wing like 1960s stuff.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I always do the whole thing. The sides flipped. I don't
oh
know
my.
which is bogus, but yeah,
Well, I think the Republican and Democratic parties are so intent on staying alive, they will at some point or another switch ideologies again.
you think so?
And I think it's not genuine. Like when you say like the Republicans are the party that freed the country,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But today they're looked at as like the other side.
Yeah. I mean, like the Republicans were for a while, the right